Butongo Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve will be providing a game drive experience for the Orlando Children's Home for our Nelson Mandela Day initiative. Tune in to the Full Circle with Bertha Charuma on the 18th of July 2025, 1 to 3 p.m. Coming to you live from the Butongo Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve as we commemorate Nelson Mandela Day. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SABC News turns 75 on July the 17th, 2025.
Since the dawn of democracy, SABC News has grown into your trusted source for news and current affairs, shaping our nation and the world for the past 75 years.
From July 12th to the 17th, SAFM Current Affairs presents exclusive interviews with iconic presenters, producers, and news leaders.
We're exploring the legacy of SABC News, highlighting the voices that have defined our story.
Join SAFM for a week of compelling reports and unforgettable moments.
SABC News at 75.
Independent and impartial.
In partnership with SAFM, hear the rhythm, feel the heat at the Imbaula Music Festival, where music, culture, community come alive. Join us on the 2nd of August 2025 at Pretoria Botanical Gardens. That's from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to vibe to Sun L musician, Kelvin Momo, Amanda Black, Zingumalo, Trompies, and more. More than music, share stories, spark change, and unite against gender-based violence. Grab your tickets at imbaula.co.za, brought to you by SAFM and SABC One. Hear the rhythm, feel the heat, Imbaula. And don't miss out on SABC Sport, bringing you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Started on the 13th of July at 7:30 on SABC2. Tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere, no subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
You are listening to the Full Circle.
The blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on. Blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on.
blackness. Welcome to the Full Circle. Coming up on the show, we do have Lutando Mzilikazi, certified financial planner and founder of Money Views, and we are going to find solutions for our problems. How many of us have been servicing debt? Like, you cannot find means and ways to get out of it. And it's been 4 or 5 years, if not more. But we'll get to unpack that. Money strategies, 3 money mistakes South Africans make and how to avoid them. Also coming up, we're going to be speaking to Executive Symphony by the Waters and Jabulo Shangase. And we're talking about, in honoring Mandela Day, the Symphony by the Waters will host Treat the Joseph Baines Children's Home and Peter Maritzburg Children's Home to a special day of care, play, a one-day eclectic music festival to be held on the banks of Midmar Dam in the company of the KZN Philharmonic Orchestra, and special guests that will be on Saturday, the 4th of October. Also coming up, Kwanda Vabaza, Senior Adjudicator Banking Services at the National Financial Umbud Scheme, talking about not leaving the rural folk behind on money matters, a campaign by the National Financial Umbud Scheme. So this is your opportunity. If you want to ask questions, you can always call us on 086 000 2032 or send your voice notes on 061 410 4107. And the second hour of the show, Breakfast with Mugabe. Fraser Grace, playwright, will be joining us in conversation. So looking forward to it. This is a man who brought liberation, was at some point an icon, and something went terribly wrong, and one can only imagine what we can expect in the play. Also coming up, SAFM and Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve celebrating Mandela Day by giving children a wild experience. Katlego Tsolo, CSI manager, SABC, will also help us to unpack. And I cannot go without mentioning Bratim Modisa. I was listening to Sakina talking to him, and he had a producer, Osbuli, and Osbuli was she was one of the executive at SAFM before I came. And I remember spending some time with her some years back, and when she was doing her training at Polytech, way back then. But anyway, it doesn't make me ancient. No, I'm not a geriatric yet. Almost, but not yet. But otherwise, let's have some fun on the Full Circle.
Bertha Charuma on SAFM.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Coaches often speak of one game at a time, but when it's match day, the speech changes to one half at a time. This will be the case when Royal AM clashes with City Lads in the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. Royal AM Ladies versus City Lads, the Sunday 20 July, live on SABC 1 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Hashtag July Saving Month. Money strategies, 3 money mistakes South Africans make and how to avoid them. Sir Lutando Mzilikazi, founder of Money Views and Inland Regional Manager of an investment management business of one of the big banks, will unpack with us. And over the next few minutes, hopefully also we'll have another edition. That will be another Thursday. But for today, we're focusing on debt. Together this afternoon, we will discuss the issues of money, 3 money mistakes South Africans make and how to avoid them. Sounds simplified, sounds very simple. Lutanda, good to have you on the show.
Good to see you again, Bertha.
Doesn't it sound so simple when you say 3 strategies to take care of your money, but we never get it right?
100%. And there's a multitude of money mistakes that we make, but I try to synchronize it and synthesize it to the 3 core issues that I think if we focused on fixing those, you'd get a lot more leverage and success in terms of each person's money success.
So why do we make money mistakes when it's the one thing we get a chance to fix every time we get an income?
I think, Bertha, one of the first things for me when I think about that, and one of the things that I realize across various client segments, and that's predominant in consumers as well, is that a lot of them didn't get the financial education or modeling when they were children. So a lot of the values and I guess traits that we live by, perspectives that we have on life are things that we learned when we were kids, and because it was emulated and taught at home. If money strategies was not a topic, it's not something that, as a household you engage in quite often and regularly, it is something that's going to play itself out when you're an adult. And so many adults make the mistakes around money that they do because they didn't have the fundamental education. Coupled with that would be point number 2, which is around a lot of the people that didn't have the financial education when they were younger live beyond their means with greater sense of ease. They surround themselves with people who kind of share the same perspective or money energy, which is like largely being indebted and living beyond your means. And that becomes an okay way of life. Lastly, I would say that, when you look at inflation, inflationary increases on big ticket items like education costs, like electricity, as well as medical aid, and you compare that with the extent to which your salary increases or doesn't increase on an annual basis, and you see that the expense increases are much more than 10%, while your salary doesn't increase by much. And so that disjuncture already creates a little bit of a financial gap. So combine all these 3 things and you see a lot of South Africans fall in those 3 categories.
And are there any specific money mistakes young people make versus older people?
And I think that's a very good question. I'd like to caveat it by saying that it's not that there are money mistakes that are exclusive to younger people, and older people don't succumb to the same mistakes. I'd say maybe younger people are a lot more susceptible to them. And the first one for me is young people spend impulsively. They have this YOLO, FOMO type of, slogan that they live by. And I think for a lot of them, they think they've got a lot more space as they grow older and become more responsible and more mature to actually fix their money mistakes, which in their current state of life, they don't even view those things as money mistakes. They view it as, living their best lives and rewarding themselves for the hard labor that they put in at work. So that's the first one. Living paycheck to paycheck as a result of living this life that kind of speaks to FOMO or YOLO. The second one is the ease of access to store accounts and credit cards. I mean, I don't know, Bertha, you made a joke about yourself being slightly older earlier.
I always sell myself.
You look amazing for your age, Bertha.
Thank you. I take it in.
But for me, when I was at varsity, there were a lot of service providers or salespeople from service providers, from store cards to banks, who were actually opening up store accounts and credit cards. And it baffles me now that I'm older and I'm in this industry that you're actually opening up these accounts for people who don't even have a consistent income base. And I think it starts that early on for younger people, this whole narrative and lifestyle of living beyond your means, because even service providers are coming to you at varsity and opening up these accounts. This is a money mistake that younger people are susceptible to that takes years to fix later on, depending on the extent of the debt. And then the last point here is not starting early to save. Young people have the absolute prime position to start saving because a lot of them, they don't have debt. A lot of them, they don't have children. They don't have a spouse. So you don't have these things that actually create a big expense base in your budget and, huge pressure on your income base. And so this is the time where you need to actually be using a lot of your income to save so that you really lean into the power of compound interest. The earlier you start, the better the outcome.
So focusing on the young people, how do we then begin to offset these mistakes and change the course of our money journey?
I think the first thing that you can do there to forcefully allocate money to or rather distribute your money quite adequately and optimally is to set up a budget. So not a budget that you can follow on an app or an Excel spreadsheet, and just because you stick to it, you think you're doing the best that you can. There's an additional layer to that, and that is ensuring that how you spend your money is actually in optimal categories. And that would be the 50-30-20 principle. The 50-30 budgeting principle speaks to 50% of your income should be allocated to hardcore expenses that you can't do away with. So that's rental or bonds and cars, etc. So that's being a responsible adult. The 30% is about living your best life, so you can spend it however you wish. So that sort of services your desires and your wants. And then 20% needs to be going towards your savings. So this includes your contributions towards your retirement fund, but also any allocations that you make towards a tax-free account, an emergency account, and that kind of stuff. So if you're looking at this budgeting principle and forcing yourself to do it, you should be okay over the next 10 to 20 years by sticking to it every month. That's the first thing. The second thing is not falling into debt. For a lot of people who already have debt on their books, service that debt, right? So set up a debit order to actually service the allocations or contributions you should be making to actually reduce that debt. A lot of people say, I don't even know where to start when it comes to consolidating my debt. And for them, I would say every South African citizen has one free credit report generation opportunity that is free every single year. And so use that. Go to TransUnion, go to your bank. They can actually generate this for you. Not only does it give you the actual score of your credit health, but it also tells you who you are actually owing and to what amounts. Set up a debit order, address all of those debts that you have. And within 3 months of paying all of your debt 100% on time, your credit score will start improving. The last point I would make for young people in terms of fixing their money mistakes, remember we spoke about them not investing young and starting quite early. So the opposite is true here. So start early. Even if it starts with you setting up your money goals. So it should be short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Short-term is less than 12 months. Medium-term is 3 years. And long-term is 5 years and more. So giving each of those goals a nickname that is true to you and psychologically close to your heart, which is those are money goals that you want to achieve. And then set up debit orders that service each of those goals into different investment accounts. That way you know that you're actually servicing each of your goals quite adequately every single month. And do it passively in terms of setting up a debit order. Because if you have to do an EFT and proactively, pay money into the service provider, it's going to be harder and harder and you'll start slipping off. So set up a debit order and make it easy for yourself. Don't forget, when you're thinking about your money goals, in addition to those 3 goals that have different time spans, have an emergency account that services your needs should anything happen to you, but also ensure that you're contributing enough towards your retirement fund, which is probably one of your most important investment accounts.
Speaking to my guest, that's Lutando Mzilikazi, certified financial planner and founder of Money Views. I know, Ondela, this is so important. You and I need to take care of our money. I'm sorry I ate up your 1 minute, but it is time for news, just gone after 1:30.
Thank you, Bertha. On the news headlines, the Gauteng Transport Department says it's launched a public transport inspectorate to deal with the violence in the taxi industry. The World Bank President Ajay Banga says Africa has all the resources to meet its energy needs, and medical officials in eastern Iraq say a fire at a shopping center has killed more than 60 people. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
And if you want to join the conversation, maybe you want to ask questions, you can do so, or 86002032, or you can send us your voice note on our WhatsApp line, which is 061 410 410 That's 061 410 410 And I'm speaking to Lutando Mzilikazi, certified financial planner and founder of Money Views. So important, and I can bet you my last bottom dollar. I think 75% of us are in debt, and we are swimming in debt. And sometimes we just don't know how to harness it, where to begin and where to end. Now, coming back to you, how do older people, now we're focused on the young people, how do then older people change their money journey when they have mounting responsibilities? They probably are indebted and are about to retire, and you're thinking, look, I will be unemployed in the next 5 years, 3 years. Or maybe you've already left work.
100%. And I think some older people kind of assume that the day you pass on, your debt disappears. It doesn't. It actually gets inherited by your children. So if you don't focus on servicing your debt as an older person for your own benefit and your own credit score and your own sanity, do it for your children. So let's go into your question, though. Like, what are the 3 big money mistakes that I think older people do? Quite often I see a lot of people through my formal employer is they retire with very little. And a lot of them have actually assumed that because they've got a retirement fund or a pension fund with their employer and they contribute to it as a condition of employment, they think that they'll be sorted in retirement. They think that that's enough. But in South Africa, there's only 6% of South Africans that can retire comfortably. That means kind of living the same or similar lifestyle to what you did before retirement into retirement. So that means 94% people don't. And so for every older person who hasn't retired yet that's listening, I urge you to have a look at your contributions. Your contributions as a person beyond 50 towards your retirement fund should be more than 20%. It sounds like a lot, and yes, it is. But if you haven't actually focused on your contributions and contributing towards your retirement at the right extent when you were younger, you now need to play catch up. Again, if not for yourself, but for your children. Because what happens is when our parents actually retire and retire with less than what they need, we end up servicing their financial responsibilities, which in turn makes us not contribute as much as we can to our own retirement fund, because now we need to, make space from our income for our parents. So it becomes this vicious cycle that only our parents can stop. So ensure that your contribution level is at least more than 20%. There are some people who are, of course, employed via GPF as an example. So they've got a defined benefit scheme. So they know how much they need, or they'll have rather, at retirement. And they kind of sense, or sometimes they assume that that's enough. Most of the time it's not. So you can actually then open up an additional voluntary RA with other service providers like Allen Gray, like 91, like Nedbank, so that you can contribute to that voluntary RA in addition to your pension fund at work. And the same applies to people who are employed by private employers as well. But the most important thing there, even once you fix your contribution rate to be the right amount, don't withdraw your pension every time you change employers, which you've got the option to, but rather not. And also with that savings pot that comes with the 2-pot system, try to not withdraw from it annually, because that also reduces your amount of money when you actually retire. The moment you do, or you get divorced, that's another one. So avoid getting divorced because it eats into your pension. And the point is, if you do all of these things that actually destroy your retirement value for when you get to retirement age, you don't have much time to catch up because you're much older. So we have to focus on the retirement conversation for older people. I think the second thing that older people tend to make mistakes around is, babying their children that are adults too much. So this is where you've got, an adult child who's working, but they're still living in your house, not contributing to food or rentals or anything like that, because you think your role is still to nurture them, but you're actually, teaching them bad money habits in doing that, because they're not budgeting, they're not being responsible, and probably they're not investing. So set your boundaries, set your budget as an adult, as the parent to this adult child, and explain to your child where the boundaries are so that they can learn the skill of setting boundaries around how they distribute their own money, but also make them pay and contribute to rental if they want to stay there as a fully fledged employed adult in the household. That's one quick way to get them out of the house. I'd say the last money mistake I see a lot of older people make is they fall susceptible to these money scams and, these get rich quick kind of scams. And a lot of them, it's because they feel that they've got very little time to actually catch up with what they didn't do right around their money journey when they were younger. And so they hear these 20% return type of numbers being quoted. You'll get this in a month or you'll get this in a week. And they actually get taken for a ride. Also, they are the more vulnerable portion of our economy, and so they do tend to believe people much quicker. If you are being approached by someone who's selling you a product or selling you something that feels dodgy to you, the first thing you can do is actually check that out on the FSCA website. So Google the name of the scheme or the product they're selling you and Google their name, and then say FSCA in Google. and then that will tell you if that person is registered or the product is registered. If it's not, don't go into that product, because if things go wrong, and a lot of the time they do, you have no sense of recourse with the phase ombat, because they can't, facilitate a case where the product provider or the person is actually not registered.
I've got Anonymous who says, I have a life policy, so if I die and I owe money, can I use my life policy paycheck to then clear my debts instead of my children taking on my debt?
100%. So there's a multitude of ways to actually use the life policy. One, it's to pay out to your children directly so that they don't have, a short-term money cash flow problem when you pass on, because it often does take a few months to actually wrap up your estate. So anything that you leave in your estate for the day you die, that even if according to your will it goes to your children, there is a bit of a gap before the children actually get that money. So paying out a life policy into their or nominating that it goes into their bank account creates that buffer. But also you can do it such that, if you have a conversation with them and tell them X amount needs to go to servicing my debt, you absolutely can do that. Or the life policy can pay out to the estate itself and then service all of your debt in accordance to what is left in your estate, which will, of course, be handled by the executor.
I'm looking at my time.
I know. It's a race through.
It's a race, I know. Because I wanted to ask, at what point then do you reach out to a financial advisor?
Very good question, Bertha, because I think it addresses any other question that we haven't talked about today because of limits on time. Anytime, all the time is a good time to reach out to a financial advisor, because there you can have a bespoke conversation where they'll help you understand your financial circumstances now, your financial dreams in the future, and help you map up how you get from your current circumstance to your future in very practical ways.
That's my guest this afternoon. # July Savings Month, money strategies. 3 money mistakes South Africans make and how to avoid them. And I've been speaking to Lutando Msilikazi, certified financial planner and founder of Money Views. And keep the questions coming through. We'll answer them next Thursday as we continue with our financial advice that we all desperately need. Let's take a break and we'll be back.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
Chasing the Sun is a 5-part South African sport documentary series. An inspiring story of the 4-time World Rugby champions, the Springboks. The journey of winning the Rugby World Cup, a behind-the-scenes look of how the green and gold team overcame adversity, divisions, and doubt to become world champs. Be there when history shines. Tune into SABC2 on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. from 13 July to 10 August. Also available anytime, anywhere on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
My name is Regina Mogolola, midfielder. Banyana Banyana, we are the African champions. My favorite hairstyle is short haircut. Between a farmhouse and a beach house, I will choose a farmhouse. If I receive a 5 million rent secretly, I will share with the team. Fellow South African, continue showing Banyana Banyana love and support them all the way. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects.
Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
In partnership with SAFM, hear the rhythm, feel the heat at the Imbaula Music Festival, where music, culture, community come alive. Join us on the 2nd of August 2025 at Pretoria Botanical Gardens. That's at 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to vibe to San El musician Kelvin Momo, Amanda Black, Zingumalo, Trompies, and more. More than music, share stories, spark change, unite against gender-based violence. Grab your tickets at imbaula.co.za. Brought to you by SAFM and SABC1. Hear the rhythm, feel the heat. Imbaula.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
And coming up next, it is we're honoring Mandela Day. It is July. This happens every year. Or stages, pages, screens and more in honor. The Symphony by the Waters will host and treat the Joseph Baines Children's Home and Peter Maritzburg Children's Home to a special day of care, play, one-day eclectic music festival to be held on the banks of Midmar Dam in the company of the KZN Philharmonic Orchestra and special guests. That will be Saturday, 4th of October. I've got Njabule Shangase on the line, Executive Symphony by the Waters, joining us. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon and welcome to your listeners as well.
Thank you for making time. So let's maybe if you could just break down what we can expect on this important day in honoring Mandela Day, the Symphony by the Waters. What is this all about? Just to paint a picture so that we can understand.
Thank you very much for your time. Well, Symphony by the Water, it's an orchestral event that will take place on the 4th of October at Midmar Dam. However, we wanted to also not just have an event, but also bring some form of meaning into the event. And our event is central around community development, community upliftment. And there is no better way to kickstart our campaign for the 4th than to celebrate Mandela Day. We've then identified 2 children's homes in Peter Maritzburg. One is the Joseph Baines Children's Home, and then the other one is Peter Maritzburg Children's Home. And we're quite fortunate that when we embarked on this project and on this process, a number of entities and your government departments, as well as corporates, they've really come in and they said they want to be part and parcel of this great initiative. We've got the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disability in the Office of the Presidency who have partnered with us. We've got the Department of Arts and Culture in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. They've also partnered with us. We've got SBD Business Systems who've also partnered with us. We've got Save, Cash and Carry, who have also partnered with us. They've even given us a grocery to the value of 15,000 rand. So it is a great day that we have planned for tomorrow, as well as we build up to the Symphony by the Water event on the 4th. We've also have a plan for next month, which is August, a Women's Day dialogue, which is centered around surviving the GBV pandemic. It's a partnership between Symphony by the Waters, UKZN, as well as the Department of Women, Children, and Women, Youth, and People with Disabilities.
It sounds really exciting. So what inspired this vision? And do you have a long-term, is this going to be a long-term relationship?
Look, I think our country has a bad history. We're coming from a not so good history, and it has really, really divided our communities. And government does play a significant role in terms of trying to bring the communities together. And we also said we want to play our role in terms of social cohesion. So Symphony by the Waters is central around social cohesion, because what we have done, we have also invited schools from your private schools to Model C schools to the historically disadvantaged schools. They will also be there participating under one umbrella. They'll be sharing the stage with the likes of Judith Sepuma, Mbuso Koza, the Kingdom Choir that will be there, Afritude that will be there, Black Lapels that will be there. So we are also giving them an opportunity to share stage with the greats of this country and of this world, but also giving them an opportunity to then integrate with other communities that they will not on a normal day get that opportunity to do so. So apart from that, we also have stalls. We've got 54 stalls which are up. People are leasing those stalls for the day. And we have tried to target young people and target women for those particular stores, so that we are giving them an opportunity to showcase their products, their services to a wider audience, which ordinarily they will not have that opportunity.
And then how can the public get involved or contribute to specific Mandela Day effort beyond the upcoming Symphony by the Waters concert? Are there any specific donations, drives, volunteers, opportunities that you can expect?
Yes, most definitely. We've got a lot of people wanting to come up with different donations. They could go to the homes directly, the ones that we have mentioned that we have partnered with, which is the Joseph Baines Children's Home, the Peter Maritzburg Children's Home. They can go and liaise directly with them. There was a cry, and I'm also making this plea to you and to your listeners that the homes are actually in dire need of volunteers. I think people no longer have time because we are busy, but they really, really do need some people to come in and volunteer, because at one of the homes you may find one nurse or one caregiver is looking after 9 children at the same time. So it's one of the other elements that we can give. It may not be cash, it may not be items, but just our time could really, really make a big difference to these homes.
Thank you so much for making time. That's Njabulo Shangase, Executive Symphony by the Waters, joining us. And all the very best, and give us feedback once the event has taken place. Thank you, and have yourself a great one.
Thank you very much. Most definitely will give you feedback.
Bye-bye for now. Executive Symphony by the Waters, Njabulo Shangase.
The soundtrack of your life with Ernest Pillay.
They were more than just songs. They were the backdrop to your best days and the ones that change everything. The soundtrack of your life with me, Ernest Pillay, brings you iconic classics and hidden gems that spoke to your heart then and still do now. Whether you're driving, relaxing, or just remembering, let the music take you right back. The soundtrack of your life with Ernest Pillay. It's about your past, your story, and it's all right here on your favorite station, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 p.m.
This is SAFM.
SAFM music, crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good, only on SAFM.
This Mandela Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit of Ubuntu, calling on all South Africans to engage, uplift, and do good for one another. Let's share what we have, lend a helping hand, and honor Madiba's legacy through kindness and action. Join SAFM as we bring you powerful conversations, inspiring stories, and voices that drive change all month long. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
At Bertha Charuma 1 on Twitter.
And welcome back. Let's talk about more on Money Matters. So don't leave the rural folk behind on Money Matters, a campaign by National Financial Umbud Scheme, Kwanda Vabaza, Senior Adjudicator Banking Services at the National Financial Umbud Scheme, will help us unpack how we can do this. So there's so much work to be done to bring people in rural areas, small towns, up to speed about financial services and products that are readily available. And there is a glaring gap in financial literacy between rural, urban areas, assisting consumers with their complaints, giving the right advice at the right time to rural and vulnerable people. Significantly reducing the complaints arising from financial products and services in these communities. While as South Africans, we boast a robust financial system. We are very progressive consumers. We also need to be well informed when it comes to protection laws. The benefits are often skewed in favor of urban and digitally connected citizens. So if you're one of those people that are in the peripheries of the country, you may be left in the lurch. Kwanda Vabaza, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Bertha, and thank you for having us. And I must say good afternoon to your listeners as well.
Thank you for making time. So what are some of the most common financial complaints or issues reported by consumers in rural areas?
I think let me start by saying that as the NFO, we have jurisdiction over complaints relating to insurance, to banking, and to credit related issues. And most of the complaints that were received by our office were in relation to when concerning insurance, funeral covers, vehicle insurance policies. And when it comes to banking, complaints were in relation to fraud, online banking fraud. And when it comes to credit, most of the issues, again, were in relation to credit agreements, people not understanding what they're signing. And in some instances, deductions are taking place from people's accounts without their knowledge. So those were most of the issues that we, as the division or as the NFO, were dealing with. Now, when it comes to the rural folk, there are no specific steps in relation to the complaints that they lodged. But I think from the number of the complaints that were lodged by our office, over 35,000 complaints, I think over 32% of those complaints were in relation to complaints lodged by the rural folk. Now, we can conclude or infer from those numbers that most of the complaints are in relation to funeral policy disputes and to banking, internet banking or banking fraud. So those were most of the complaints that we were receiving.
And how is the office actually working to improve awareness about the complaints process in those hard-to-reach communities?
Again, I think the responsibility is definitely on us as ombuds to make sure that consumers everywhere are aware of the consumer protection laws that are available in instances where there are issues in relation to these financial services products. But secondly, there are regulators like the NCR, the FSCA, who we know for a fact and we have partnered with to try and reach those rural areas in ensuring that there is education and there is awareness in relation to the issues that are mostly faced by these consumers, whether in relation to fraud, whether in relation to things that should have been explained by these SSPs, but in most instances are not explained. So, especially again with, for instance, funeral policies, a lot of the people just happy that these policies have been granted to them, but not much focus is given to, for instance, the reasons why someone's policy will be declined. So ours as an office and together with the SSP, with the regulators, our role is to ensure that there is education and there is awareness in relation to the issue that we as these institutions have identified.
And because I'm just looking at the time here, I know maybe if I just could go to the partnerships or innovations that you're exploring to bridge the rural-urban financial protection gap more effectively.
Yes. So, for instance, we as the Ombud, the NFO, we've partnered with the community radio stations where we obviously, for instance, focus on a case study that we're seeing that is becoming an issue. For instance, with relation to funeral policies, with fraud, with credit agreements. So we will then draft a script and then share it with them. And then in that script, then we will discuss what the issues were and how the SSPs are dealing with those complaints. And most importantly, as an office, since we do have fairness jurisdiction, and we're not only focusing on what the agreement says, we also look at what is fair in those circumstances. So we educate consumers that in the event that the SSPs are saying that they're not liable and they're basing everything on those contracts, then as an office we can still jump in and help them to resolve those complaints. But I think what is important for everyone, whether in the rural or these urban areas, is for people to just know that there are organizations like the NFO in the event that things do go wrong between themselves and these SSPs. And again, it's not just the rural areas, but I think even in the urban areas, a lot of people do not know that the Ombuds, especially the NFO, will help them free of charge. So people are still of the view that they have to pay for the lawyers to do the work. But as NFO, we are lawyers and we do this work for free. So people are encouraged to then raise the issues with us, and we will definitely assist.
And how are you handling, language and literacy barriers?
So fortunately, as an office, yes, we accommodate anyone and everyone who's speaking or who raises an issue in any of the 11 official languages. I do understand that the 12th is a sign language. Fortunately, we have not seen a complaint in Braille. But anyone who comes to our office seeking assistance in any of the 11 official languages, we are able to assist.
And I see that you've really been very visible. Some road shows, I do remember hearing one that was taking place in a mall. Is this something that's going to be widespread, where you have your ombuds trying to educate and also just asking the community to visit in a mall to say, look, this is where we are, come and see us, let's hear your cases?
So I know in the past, and fortunately, I think hopefully going forward, we will make sure that we do partner with the local radio stations from those areas whenever we do visit those stations and educate people. But previously, through the NCR, we were partnering with the local radio stations and informing people before we went to those places that we will be there and the type of organization that will be there to educate those people. So it is something that we were doing, and it is something definitely going forward we will be doing.
Thank you so much. Senior Adjudicator Banking Services at the National Financial Umbud Scheme, Kwandava Baza. Thank you so much for making time. Have a great one.
Thank you, Bertha, and hoping to do this more often with you guys. Thanks.
And maybe just before I let you go, for more info, where do we go quickly?
Quickly. People have an issue, they can call us on 0860-800-900, or they can go onto our website, www.nfosa.co.za, or send us an email at info@nfosa.co.za.
Great. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Bertha. On the top stories, a public transport inspectorate launched in Gauteng, and the World Bank president calls for more investment in Africa. For SAFM News, I am Ondolambana, and a very good day. The Gauteng Transport Department says it's launched a public transport inspectorate to deal with the violence in the taxi industry. This follows increased reports from e-hailing drivers in Johannesburg of violent attacks and robberies allegedly carried out by minibus taxi associations. Violence has plagued the taxi industry for many years, with taxi associations fighting amongst each other over profitable routes. E-hailing services have exacerbated the problem as minibus operators feel financially threatened by the safer, more flexible transportation options. The department spokesperson, Lisi Bampia.
This is a lack of competitiveness, greed, where people cannot tolerate a culture of integration and ecosystem. And we have also acknowledged that in terms of law enforcement, there is more that can be done by government. Hence, we are saying that we have recapacitated the department 2-3 weeks ago. We would have put in place a 80-strong men team that is going to deal decisively or particularly with taxi-related violence. And that is why we have deployed this public transport inspectorate to the hotspots.
The World Bank President AJ Banga says Africa has all the resources to meet its energy needs. However, the continent needs investment. Banga says this is where the private sector comes in, as it is the engine to grow the economy. Banga was speaking at the G20 Compact for Africa opening site event at the G20 Fourth Finance and Central Bank Deputies meetings taking place in Durban.
The private sector is the engine of job creation. The private sector accounts for 90% of all employment, most of it through small businesses. Working to create the conditions that allow all businesses to thrive is what we're trying to do. And that is the point that Duncan was saying. What's the practitioner doing? Because the private sector cannot succeed on its own. It needs the right conditions to thrive.
Operation Dudula in KwaZulu-Natal is marching to the South African Human Rights Commission offices in Durban against what it calls a hindrance in their fight for South Africans to be prioritized. The organization has been accused by some of blockading public hospitals and denying healthcare to people alleged to be undocumented immigrants. A number of other organizations have joined the march. Coordinator of Operation Dudula in KZN, Sifiso Manyala, elaborates.
Human Rights Commission must stop defending the illegal foreigners, must stop working very hard in collaboration with these unpatriotic NGOs in defending the legality that is perpetrated by them.
The Chetty 391 military veterans in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape have given the Nelson Mandela Metro Municipality 14 days to deal with their grievances. The veterans handed over a petition to the mayor's office, which included grievances such as slow rollout of pension funds, not receiving their housing benefits, and education for their children. Military veterans representative Isaac Jacobus says they want the municipality to put pressure on the Human Rights Commission to speed up its dealings with their issues.
The issue we also then raises when it comes to the pension, the rollout of the pension process, as I mentioned, that all the military veterans, they are not receiving the correct payment. Since this pension was gazetted July 2023, which means the GPAA, which is the agency to the payments, was supposed to comply with the government gazette of Parliament to pay back the veterans from 2023 up to date. But they have their own date of implementation. They have their own date of back pay.
Medical officials in eastern Iraq say a fire at a shopping center has killed more than 60 people. The fire has since been contained, but firefighters are continuing to search for missing victims. The BBC's Amita Sikraka has the details.
The blaze in the eastern city of Kut broke out late on Wednesday on the second floor before rapidly engulfing the hypermall, which had reportedly only opened 5 days ago. One survivor said an air conditioning unit had exploded. Videos on social media showed flames bursting out of the building. The governor of Wasit province, Mohamed Al-Miyahi, said most of the victims were women and children. The governor has declared 3 days of mourning and announced legal action against the mall's owners.
As SABC News looks back at 75 years of existence, we remember history as it happened. The editor-in-chief of Radio News, Jan Pretorius, was on duty when American President J.F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963.
It was the 22nd of November 1963, and that evening, it was one of those dead evenings as far as news is concerned. We had the news at 9 on then. At about 3 minutes before airtime, one of the telex chaps ran in with a story. He says, here's a flash from Sapa. Kennedy's been shot. You know, and that was, as I say, one of those deadly evenings where you've had a long statement on ore exploration as your first headline. There was nothing else. And that story was already running. Anyway, we stopped that and we broke the news, broke into the program, and we announced that Kennedy's been shot in Dallas.
With recapping the top story, the Gauteng Transport Department says it's launched a public transport inspectorate to deal with violence in the taxi industry. I'm Wandela Mbana for SFM News headlines at 2:30.
conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
2022 WAFCON finalists, the Atlas Lionesses are breathing with extra confidence to get to this year's semi-final, while the female Eagles want to steal the moment of joy from the Moroccans. This is the quarter-final showdown of the Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024. Morocco takes on Mali this Friday, 18 July at 8:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, then on SABC 3 at 9 p.m. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM, in partnership with SABC CSI and the Butongo Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve, will be providing a game drive experience for the Orlando Children's Home for our Nelson Mandela Day initiative. Tune in to the Full Circle with Bertha Charuma on the 18th of July 2025, 1 to 3 p.m. Coming to you live from the Butongo Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve as we commemorate Nelson Mandela Day. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SABC News turns 75 on July the 17th, 2025.
Since the dawn of democracy, SABC News has grown into your trusted source for news and current affairs, shaping our nation and the world for the past 75 years.
From July 12th to the 17th, SAFM Current Affairs presents exclusive interviews with iconic presenters, producers, and news leaders.
We're exploring the legacy of SABC News, highlighting the voices that have defined our story.
Join SAFM for a week of compelling reports and unforgettable moments.
SABC News at 75.
Independent and impartial. You are listening to The Full Circle.
Kutembera, Chembera ndizo ndizo nenguva yakawanda. Chembera chiva kuchembera kuchembera chiva kuchembera chichembera chiva kuchembera.
Oliver Mtukudzi, Wasakar Kuchembera. In a nutshell, what it means, aging is a reflection of great time gone by. And this song was actually composed during the era when Zimbabwe was going through a very tough time, basically when the economic times were crumbling to bits and pieces. But anyway, let's leave it alone. For now, coming up next, the Market Theatre National Arts Festival present Breakfast with Mugabe, psychological drama directed by Kelvin Ratladi, 2025 Standard Bank Young Artist for Theatre. The play had a premiere at the National Arts Festival in Makanda, and it has since returned to Joburg for an anticipated run starting from 17 July to 10 August at the Market Theatre. So really looking forward to speaking to playwright, that's Fraser Grace, written by distinguished British playwright, that's Fraser Grace, whom I'm going to be speaking to. And both an exemplary cast that includes Themba Ndaba portraying Mugabe, Khunsi Nchikhang as his wife, or Nchechang, I hope I've pronounced that right, as Grace. Craig Jackson plays Mugabe's psychiatrist, Dr. Perick, while Zimbabwean actor Farai Chiguru takes on the role of Mugabe's bodyguard. Critics have hailed the script as modern-day Macbeth, in which Mugabe's haunted psyche, tormented by the vengeful spirit of a dead comrade, becomes the play's driving force, inspired by the reports that the former Zimbabwean president once privately sought the help of a white psychiatrist. Did you know? I didn't, or I did. Partially. But anyway, Fraser Grace is on standby to help us unpack what it has been like or what it's like to have breakfast with Mugabe. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Bertha. Thanks for having me.
I think I'm ahead of myself because I can see I'm being counted down for my commercials. Let me just clear the commercials and then we can continue with our conversation.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 1.5 litre Coca-Cola Original only. Buy 2 for 32 Rand, plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or 145 gram Doritos corn chips. Buy any 2 for 36 Rand and save 12 Rand. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 21 July 2025. While stocks last, T's and C's apply.
Hi, my name is Andile Dlamini, goalkeeper of Mamelodi Sundowns and Banyana Banyana. If I received 10 million to stop being a goalkeeper and become a boxer, no, I don't think I would do it. Flying the flag high is something that I carry in my heart. What do I like about SABC Sport? It caters for all, rich and poor.
Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
And on the line, I have playwright Fraser Grace, and we're going to be talking about Breakfast with Mugabe, which is a play that is on a show at the moment, returning to Joburg starting on the 17th of July to the 10th of August at the Market Theatre. Fraser, good afternoon and welcome back again.
That's all right. Hi there. I wouldn't want to get in the way of the commercials.
You know what I mean? We have to make money to make a living.
Absolutely.
So, coming up with Breakfast with Mugabe, what actually interested you? What initially sparked your interest and the idea exploring his mental state?
I think at the time, you know, the news agenda is fairly sort of what we call the news agenda now. It's fairly sort of fickle. You know, it concentrates on a place for a while, and then something else happens in the world that is maybe seems more urgent, and suddenly no one is talking about that place we were all talking about. And the events in Zimbabwe at the time, at the end of the 90s, beginning of 2000s, I thought needed attention, and so I wanted to write a play to drag attention back to what was going on, and specifically in the build up to the elections in 2001, there was much reported violence going on, and I thought people in the UK should be paying attention to that, and then I came across this story which you mentioned earlier, and I think it was a rumor that was doing the rounds in Harare at the time, that Mugabe had, because he had sort of slipped from public view, which is very unusual in the build-up to elections. Normally people are out getting votes, and he'd slipped from public view, and the rumor was that he was holed up in State House, the presidential palace, terrified for his life, being pursued by the spirit of a long-dead comrade, and he wouldn't even allow his wife out, as she says in the play, not even for shopping. And he'd been refused help from traditional healers, and so he had to turn to a white psychiatrist. And I thought there is a really tight little construct through which I can examine some of the themes that I was interested in.
So Dr. Perek, the white psychiatrist, serving a very crucial foil to Mugabe. And the themes that are highlighted are grief, it's healing, it's faith, it's a whole lot of things. And the comrade that you're talking about, and it is rumored, Tongogar apparently haunted him because they killed him when they were going towards elections, and he was meant to have been the president, and he took his place. So it all makes a little bit of sense. But in you zoning into the psychiatrist, which is an aspect that many of us don't know about.
Well, the interesting thing about the psychiatrist in the play, I think, I came across actually a journal by a psychiatrist who had worked at the General Hospital's psychiatry unit in Harare, and he had become increasingly interested in traditional spirituality. I think he found that although he could treat people from his kind of Western psychiatry, he could help people somewhat. He noticed that his nurses and colleagues had much more success because they didn't dismiss the idea of the ancestors and the spirit world. And in the newspaper report of the psychiatrist that had attended Mugabe, he had diagnosed depression, prescribed some tablets, and left, which seems very sensible. But I thought it would be much more interesting if the psychiatrist actually had an interest in this Ungozi and trying to unwrap that puzzle. So that's really what makes the play. And then I had great good fortune in meeting people like Chartwell Dutiro, the Zimbabwean Mbira player who was in London at the time, and he spoke to me about his life and family in Zimbabwe, and then the director of the very first production of the play by the Royal Shakespeare Company was your own Anthony Sher. So I met great people who had a lot of knowledge of the kind of subject area, and that was really helpful. Then I was away.
And then you also include his wife, Grace Mugabe, and the character is often depicted as ruthless, very desperate. She's done some strange things. What role did you envision for her? And also considering the fact that this was his second marriage and she was the secretary. His first wife was a Ghanaian, Salim Mugabe, whom Zimbabweans really felt was an icon, and she was the mother of the nation and just had a spirit of mothering, which is such a big contrast to Grace.
Yes. I mean, the play is a lot funnier. I was there at the preview last night, and there was a lot of laughter as well as the terror. And the serious material as well. And a lot of that laughter revolves around Grace, because in the play she is both dangerous and edgy, but also very funny. And the play has a lot of fun with her. And in fact, in a performance, I mean, this play began in the UK, and then it has been on in the United States, and this is the first time it has ever been on in Africa, obviously where it's set. So that's very exciting, and it's also the first time it's been produced that I know of since Mugabe's passing. So it's a great thing that it's here. But when it was on in America, a woman came to one of the performances claiming to be one of Grace's nieces, and she said, the play makes enjoys the humor very much, makes her maybe more funny than she is in real life, but what the play really gets absolutely spot on is that everybody walks around Grace on eggshells because they know she has the president's ear. And if she gets cross with you're in trouble.
And then,
Yeah.
I was about to ask a question. I have so much to ask and so little time. I wanted to find
my
out.
answers are so terribly long. I'm so
So,
sorry.
when you look at our current situation in South Africa, how do you feel about the current revival of the play in South Africa, given the country's own complex history and the relationship with Zimbabwe? Being a writer and delving into the in-depth of the leader.
Well, to be honest, that's one of the reasons I'm here. When I heard from the Market Theatre that they wanted to produce it, and that is all driven by the passion of our director Calvin Ratladi. Of course, I was delighted someone wants to produce my play, but also I was very curious to know why they thought this play would resonate in South Africa. And I think there is no doubt, certainly from being in the audience last night, that it really does. And I think to fully appreciate that, you would have to kind of come and see the play. But I think it clearly resonates. In both countries there are people who maybe feel disappointed by what has happened since liberation. And so, the play speaks for itself, but it clearly resonated with people last night.
Well, I suppose we have to leave it at this point. Playwright Fraser Grace chatting to us this afternoon, and Breakfast with Mugabe returning to Joburg for anticipated run starting 17 July to 10 August at Market Theatre. Thank you so much for joining us, Fraser, and have a good one. Hopefully I'll take another sitting and watch it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Please come. Thank you.
Just gone after 2, time for 2:30, time for news.
Thank you, Bertha. On the news headlines, President Cyril Ramaphosa has confirmed that he received a letter from U.S. President Donald Trump informing him about the decision to impose the 30% tariffs on South African products exported to the U.S. The Gauteng Transport Department says it's launched a public transport inspectorate to deal with violence in the taxi industry, and a state of emergency has been declared in parts of Pakistan's most populated province, Punjab, because of torrential monsoon's rain. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Asibambisane. Zini na zini. Ayikhomaneni. Haratwarani. Say and say. Side by side.
Good afternoon and welcome to Side by Side, brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifa Labantwana, and the SABC Education. Today we're talking about what to expect from routine clinic visits during pregnancy and what warning signs mean you should seek immediate help. From our drama episode yesterday, we heard from Unes Piliso, who explained the importance of attending all your checkups and being aware of danger signs like heavy bleeding, severe headaches, or a sudden decrease in baby's movement. To help us understand this topic even better, we're joined by Ms. Tebogo Mabubula from City of Johannesburg Maternal Health. Ms. Mabubula, thank you so much for joining us today. As we heard from our drama episode yesterday, that it's really important for a pregnant woman to go to the clinic if she feels something isn't right. But is that the only time she should go? Or are there other important reasons to visit the clinic during pregnancy?
Thank you, Ms. P, for the invite, and good afternoon to the listeners. If a pregnant woman thinks that something is wrong with her or unborn baby, she should visit the clinic immediately. A pregnant woman should book early, before 12 weeks or 3 months of pregnancy. It is also important that the pregnant woman attend regular antenatal care so that the healthcare professional has a chance to prevent problems or pick up any issues that the mom can encounter and refer her to the hospital if necessary. Antenatal visits can also prevent the baby from being born early, which might result in complication, including the death of the baby. So, receiving quality care during pregnancy can save both the mom and the baby's life. During antenatal visits, health education is also given about healthy eating, avoiding drinking alcohol or cigarette smoking, the importance of breastfeeding, also teaching the mom how to take care of herself and her baby. Mom is also informed about where to deliver her baby.
And during those regular antenatal visits, can the nurse or healthcare worker actually pick up signs that something might be going wrong, maybe even before the mom can feel it herself?
At every antenatal care, the healthcare professional do a physical and a medical examination to ensure that the mom and her baby are well. These include blood tests, blood pressure monitoring, weighing, checking how the unborn baby is growing, and listening to the heart of this unborn baby. Estimation of when this baby is likely to be delivered is also done, and the mother is advised where to deliver her baby. It is best to deliver in a health facility to lower the risk of anything going wrong.
So far we've spoken about how important those routine checkups are and that mom should go to the clinic right away if anything feels off. Now let's talk about the warning signs. What are some of the danger signs pregnant women should look out for?
A pregnant woman must go to the hospital or to the clinic immediately if she is experiencing any of the following symptoms. If she is feeling tired, weak, have no energy, this can be a sign of anemia. If she has unusual swelling of legs, arms, or face, particularly swollen reddish calf muscles, which is the muscles of the back of her leg. If she is bleeding excessively from her vagina, some light spotting or small drops of blood can be expected during pregnancy, but anything more than that, it is a danger sign. If it's the later stages of pregnancy and she can only feel very few or no movements from a baby in the tummy, if she has headache, dizziness, blurred vision, or epigastric pain, which might be a sign of imminent preeclampsia, if she has severe abdominal and back pains and the baby is not yet due, if she has a high temperature, if the water breaks before the baby is due, this will feel like a sudden release of water from the vagina, meaning the membrane protecting the baby has broken before time. If she has severe abdominal pains, if she has fits or convulsions or seizures, if she's unable to stop worrying, feeling down, depressed or hopeless, and she think about hurting herself, then she should visit the hospital immediately.
Miss Mabula, you mentioned swelling as one of the danger signs, but we often hear that swollen feet are just the normal part of pregnancy. How can moms tell the difference between what's normal and what might be a sign of trouble?
Some swelling is fairly common in pregnancy, especially swollen hands, feet, and ankles, and is often more towards the end of pregnancy. However, if a mom has sudden swelling of her legs, arms, or face, particularly if her lower legs start swelling, then this can be a sign of preeclampsia. Mom needs to go to the hospital where they will be checked, the blood pressure will be checked, and the urine will be tested also for protein. Other symptoms that go with preeclampsia include headache, blurred vision, and preeclampsia is very dangerous and the mom should not ignore these symptoms but should go to the hospital right away.
Another danger sign you brought up was when mom stops feeling her baby move. But don't babies sleep sometimes in the womb? And how can she know that it's time to worry?
First time mom can usually feel baby moving around from 20 weeks, and experienced mom may recognize kicks as early as 16 weeks. It is good for a mom to be aware of the movements of the baby so that she knew what a baby is usually like. An unborn baby should move at least 4 times an hour, but this can change when the baby is sleeping. If the unborn baby is moving 3 or less times an hour, mom should urgently go to the clinic or to the hospital.
And what if mom already has a health condition like diabetes, high blood pressure, or HIV? Now, how does that affect her pregnancy and care plan?
If the mom has a chronic health condition, it is extremely important that she inform the medical practitioner at least at first antenatal visit so that extra special care can be given. The mom might be referred to the hospital after being seen. These include conditions like diabetes, epilepsy, high blood pressure, kidney disease, asthma, or TB. Mom also needs to inform the healthcare professional if she is taking HIV treatment or taking drugs or alcohol. The mom needs to be honest because the impact can affect the mother or the baby. Any underlying health condition can complicate pregnancy, so threaten the health and well-being of the baby in the womb.
Ms. Mabubula, thank you so much for joining us today. And your last words?
Thank you very much, SAFM, for inviting me. I encourage pregnant women to book early by visiting the healthcare facility as soon as they realize that they are pregnant before 12 weeks or 3 months in their pregnancy. This is important for the best outcome of the mom and her unborn baby. The other thing, the importance of antenatal care include risk identification, prevention and management of pregnancy-related or concurrent diseases, and health education. Again, during antenatal care visit, the healthcare provider also counsel and test the pregnant mom on HIV and other STI, and if she tests positive for HIV, she is initiated on antiretroviral treatment to prevent vertical transmission to the unborn baby. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to Side by Side, the show that supports you to give your child the best possible start in life. Brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifala Bantwana, and the SABC Education. Join the conversation with other caregivers on our Facebook page at Side by Side SA and look out for more great content. Join us again, same time next week when we'll be talking about caring for children living with disabilities.
Side by Side.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
My name is Dino Makakula, the goalkeeper for Banyana. I like cooking stew and pap, a bit of dessert, which is scones. What will I say to the loyal fans? We acknowledge your support and we appreciate you being with us each and every step of the way. Please keep on supporting, keep on walking with us in this journey that we took as individuals and as a team. We appreciate it. We are the champions. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects.
Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
SAFM, in collaboration with the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, brings you the Jazz for Young People concert happening at the National School of the Arts on the 26th of July 2025. Tune in to Seasons and the Soundtrack of Your Life, broadcasting live. This unique event is a powerful celebration of youth, creativity, and community spirit. Bring the whole family to enjoy a wonderful day of world-class jazz from young musicians, curated by Zoe Mudicha, featuring National School of the Arts Band, Willow Crescent Magnet School of Music Band, Biko's Manor, and many others. Have fun while doing good. Tickets are available at Quicket for just 80 Rand and 50 Rand for kids under 12. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Hi, my name is Kutlwana Masote, your host of Weekend Sundowner Classics every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. exclusively on SAFM. Now, this is where you get your best classical music jams on any radio platform. Join me every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 p.m. Weekend Sundowner Classics.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
It's season 2 and the stakes are even higher. This time, South Africa's favourite stars are back at the briefcase, playing for charities close to home and close to the heart. Big names, big hearts, big deals. Don't miss Deal or No Deal, Celebrity South Africa, Saturdays at 6 p.m. on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
And coming up next, tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting live, actually, from Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve, celebrating Mandela Day by giving children a wild experience. And we'll be live from the venue that's in the afternoon and celebrating, what an awesome day. And to join us unpack, I have a CSI manager, SABC, Kahleho Tsolo, to tell us more about, the CSI work that the SABC does, and also maybe just unpack what the kids can actually expect tomorrow. Good to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for making time. So tell us about, your partnership and the experience the children are going to receive.
Okay. Good afternoon to SFM listeners. So tomorrow we're starting our day very early. We're starting with Radio 2000. We'll be at Orlando Children's Home together with a Gift of the Givers. So we'll be donating food hampers to the home at Orlando Children's Home. And then from there, we are then taking the kids to Rhino and Lion Park, west of Johannesburg, so that, they can experience, wildlife. So that is what we planned, and that's where now we'll be meeting SAFM on site. I know that you'll be on site tomorrow in the afternoon.
And what does Mandela Day program look like for SABC tomorrow?
There is quite a lot of activities happening. Tomorrow, so starting from Monday, we've partnered with Habitat for Humanity. So they are building in 3 provinces, the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, as well as in Gauteng province. They are in Orange Farm. I know our sister stations are there tomorrow. Channel Africa as well as Ikokwez FM will be there, building homes for the people in need in the area. And we also, I also spoke to, I know Metro FM tomorrow morning as well. They'll be in Braamfontein. So most of our radio stations tomorrow, they'll be busy in different areas where they are working at, and just to go and make a difference to the listeners.
And then maybe if you could take us through the work of the SABC CSI, the values, the pillars you share with the spirit of Madiba.
So what we do, our key focus areas firstly is gender-based violence, education, health, orphan and vulnerable children, and we also lean very strongly on SA Triple Challenge. We really do go to communities ourselves with our radio stations and other partners where we make a difference. So we do get requests from communities, we do get requests from NGOs, and with that, we look at what is it that is needed by the community. We do site visits, and then we take it from there. We start to do the planning, and then again, working with the radio stations. We've been to a lot of places with SAFM. I remember the first time where we donated laptops in the Northern Cape, in BR. We were there with SAFM. So wherever SACSI goes, we go with the radio station, and we try and make sure that whatever difference that we make in the communities, we do it with respect and with dignity. One motto that we go with is that you never give food that you cannot eat. You also do not donate clothes that you cannot wear. So that starts with you. you need to look at what is it that you are giving, and you give it with respect and dignity. And it is not only about financial donation. What our radio stations do all the time, there's a lot of CSI elements that are happening on a daily basis. But Mandela Day is for us a day, it's a reminder for us to continue doing good in the communities we serve.
I'm speaking to CSI Manager SABC, that's Kahleho Tsolo, just sharing and giving us some insight of what the day will look like at the Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve. I just need to take a small break, but when we come back, maybe you can just let us know the age group of the children you are targeting, and also if there are any any other activities after the Mandela Day that are also in the pipeline from SABC CSI. Let's take a break. We'll be back.
At Bertha Charuma 1 on Twitter.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Coaches often speak of one game at a time, but when it's match day, the speech changes to one half at a time. This will be the case when Royal AM clashes with City Lads in the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. Royal AM Ladies versus City Lads, the Sunday 20 July, live on SABC 1 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
How would you encapsulate what you heard and thought in one word?
Indecisive. Now, he's saying we must wait for 6 months before he can tell us whether or not he thinks his Minister of Police is a crook or not. And I think this is unacceptable. But it's unacceptable because we have let it continue this way. And that's why people, even some, even are praising him for having a commission of inquiry. Why do you need a commission of inquiry? People in the security trust are supposed to be highly trustworthy. If they can't tell you the truth, why do you think that you should set up a commission of 3 judges at probably at huge cost for 6 months for them to tell you the truth?
Professor J.J. Tabane, who's the convener of the Frank Dialogue and editor of Leadership.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za. You are listening to The Full Circle.
Well, in the spirit of giving, honouring Nelson Mandela's legacy, SAFM has partnered with Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve in Johannesburg to create an unforgettable day experience for the children of Orlando Children's Home in Soweto. Friday, 18 July, the children will be treated to a wild experience of lifetime consisting a guided game drive through the majestic Lion Rhino Nature Reserve, and they have an opportunity to witness South Africa's rich wildlife up close and personal. We're talking lions, wild dogs, antelopes, giraffes, zebras, iconic species, and many, many more. And also, this is being done with the help of CSI SABC, and we're speaking to CSI Manager SABC Kahleho Tsolo. Welcome back. Now, we're talking about the age group that you are targeting.
Yes. So for tomorrow, we are targeting from 12 years. We'll be taking kids from 12 years to 17. However, when you look at our focus pillar under children, it is 0 to 19 years. So it depends on the initiative, what is the focus for that particular month or for that particular quarter. And again, it speaks to the area because we need to also assess the need. So that is what is guiding us when it comes to children. And a lot of what we do, especially when we focus on children, we look at issues of abuse, education, as well as disability. We are very, very strong in advocating that, working together with different NGOs who give us material, and then you find that we fly their public service announcements on all our radio stations.
And then any other activities post after Friday? Do you have anything that is in the pipeline that most probably we need to share with the general public?
Yes. Look, it's Women's Month next month, so we are already planning, just finalizing our plans. But all I can say is that we'll be in about 3 provinces. We're going to the Northwest, Northern Cape, KZN, as well as the Free State. Of course, with the support of Gift of the Givers. However, there is something that we have internally at the SABC. I just still need to finalize that with management so that I can start executing and finalizing my plans. But yes, we'll be very big in this coming Women's Month.
And how can the Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve or any other stakeholders best support SABC in making sure that their initiatives are a success and potentially building on it in the future?
Look, we advocate that it's best when we work together, to make a difference. So we really do appreciate such partnerships where, like Botongo Group coming and saying, look, what are you doing for Mandela Day? This is what we're offering. And for us, really, it was such a beautiful a suggestion for them to say this is what they are offering, and then looking at how we're going to start the day in the morning, more especially from Orlando Children's Home, and then moving over to them. I mean, what these kids are going to get there, it's something that is so beautiful. I don't think that they have been, to the wild. I don't think that they've seen this, these animals, and they're just going to be treated like kings and queens tomorrow. And it's not only Orlando Children's Home that we are taking with. We're also taking Girls and Boys Town. We're going to make one big group, and we are really, really excited and thankful to Botongo Group for allowing us to bring the kids over.
Thank you so much. That's CSI Manager, SABC Katleho Tsolo, chatting to us about tomorrow. SAFM and Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve celebrating Mandela Day, also in partnership with CSI SABC joining hands there. Thank you so very much and have yourself a good one. And bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And if you've missed the show, well, we had a hashtag July Savings and spoke to Certified Financial Planner, also spoke to Executive Symphony by the Waters in Jabulo. Shangase sharing what they're going to be doing for Mandela Day. Kwanda Vabaza, Senior Adjudicator Banking Services at National Financial Umbud Scheme. And we also had another conversation there. Breakfast with Mugabe, Fraser Grace, playwright, and the CSI manager from SABC. Well, that wraps up the show this afternoon. And to my technical team, that is Mpho, making sure the disc is being driven perfectly, and Tosh and Ntabiseng on content. Thank you so very much. Have yourselves a good one. Let's meet again tomorrow.
SAFM, playing your music.
Tega kupele sina kulila kupele sina kuqaqanjelwa kupele sina kulila kupele ndiyakholwa. Ikhona into ehleza kwenzeka, ndiyakholwa. into ehleza kwenzeka ngoba sinakudandatheka kuphelea sinakulila kuphele ngathia sinakuqaqanjelwa kuphelea sinakulila kuphele ndiyakholwa ikhona into ehleza kwenzeka sakuncunyiswa ngenye imini yakholwa ikhona into ehleza kwenzeka kholwa nawe kholwa nawe kholwa nawe
Thank you, Bertha, and the team on the top stories. Ramaphosa confirms receiving a letter from Trump about the tariffs and a state of emergency declared in parts of Pakistan. A public for SFM News, I'm Ondalambana, and a very good day. President Cyril Ramaphosa has confirmed that he received a letter from U.S. President Donald Trump informing him about the decision to impose the 30% tariffs on South African products exported to the U.S. The tariff hikes are expected to come to effect next month. The president revealed this during the tabling of the budget vote of the presidency yesterday in Parliament. Ramaphosa had conceded that the U.S. decision is going to significantly impact South Africa's economy in exported products. He says the impact is already being felt by some of the companies with their export volumes starting to decline.
Last week, we received notification in a letter from President Trump to myself that exports from South Africa to the United States will attract tariffs of up to 30% from the 1st of August 2025. This could have a substantial impact on the products that we export to the United States. We have already seen how just the mere news of the intention